Good evening, everyone. Back to the technological aspects of embedded system, we are going to learn the new point, that is the subsystem interfaces. Now, in the last point, we have seen something related to analog to digital converter. We have seen something related to the digital signal processing. We have seen something related to the signal conditioning. So these are some technological aspects which are required for one particular application of an embedded systems. Now all these components we have seen the signal conditioning, we have seen the processors, we have seen how to convert analog to digital or digital to analog converters. But now the finally what we need to do is we need to interface these systems for some hardware to software or some other connecting devices. So that is nothing but called as interfaces. So let us see what do you mean by subsystem interfaces. Now this subsystem interfaces is nothing but the input output devices connection. So we are going to see in detail about this subsystem interfaces. So let us, what is the outline we are going to have in this PPT today is the introduction part we are going to look for. We are going to have the basic input output concepts. We are going to see the input output subsystem. So let us see the introduction for this. All the embedded system include some form of input and output operations. As I told you earlier also, any kind of application, whatever you are going to design, it is going to consist of some input as well as it is going to consist of some outputs. Is it not? So the examples of embedded systems built the explicitly to deal with the input output devices. Now for example, whatever we are going to do or we are going to convert with this input output devices is like we are going to look for the cell phone, we are going to look for the pagers, we are going to look for the handheld MP3 players. Now these are the examples where we are going to what you can say, it is the examples of embedded systems, is it not, which is going to deal with the input output devices. Now basically, now next we are going to see is the input output operations. Now these input output operations are interpreted differently depending upon the viewpoint taken and place different requirements on the level of understanding of the hardware details. Obviously, now this cell phone, this pager, this handheld MP3 players, each and everything is regarding with its own requirement, is it not? Now the cell phone, if you consider, now whenever you are going to handle some cell phone, means you are going to the requirements is different. If you are going to consider the pager, its requirement is different. Suppose if you are going to take the MP3 player, its requirement is different. So according to the hardware details, the level of understanding and the requirements is going to be differently setted. So for this perspective, we need to know what do you mean by the system software developer. Now whenever we are going to access the cell phone pager, that means the system software developer is different for cell phone, different for pager and different for MP3 player. So likewise, we need to first know that the input output operations imply communicating with the device. Now as I told you, input output devices. Now this input and output devices, whenever it is going to make a complete set. Now for example, if you are going to take a sensor, it is an input device. Whenever you are going to apply, whenever you are going to sense that temperature at the receiver side, that is nothing but the at the receiver side to display that temperature, is it not? So that is temperature, or that LCD display is the output device, sensor is the input device. So connecting between the sensor and the LCD is nothing but the communication part, is it not? So that is nothing but called as the input output operations. So whatever the system it is going to take, that the software developer has to firstly imply on the communication devices. Second thing, programming the device to initiate the input output request. Now most importantly, there should be the request sent to the input and the output devices so that the communication is possible between these two. Next we are going to see that the performing the actual data transfer between the device and the system, is it not? So performing the actual data transfer. Now suppose if you want to transfer the data from cell phone to PC, how you are going to connect it with, suppose you are going to connect it with the help of the a cable, USB cable. So whenever you are going to transfer this data, means what you are going to do, you are going to actually transfer the data between the device and the system, right? And the next is notifying the requester when the operation is going to complete. Obviously, even though if you see, whenever you are going to connect the USB cable to the computer, once the data is transferred, the message is been displayed that the data is totally transferred or not. So notifying is the most important to that. So some things must be understood while defining all these things. First is the physical properties. For physical properties means we need to know what, for example, the register definition and the access method of the device. Now for example, whenever you are going to connect a cell phone to the mobile, or whenever you are going to connect the cell phone to the laptops or to your PCs, what should the thing you should know? Whenever you are going to access, transfer the data, whether the memory what you have used is sufficient or no, whether the register definition whatever you are going to use it is sufficient or no, whether the access method means transferring the methods, whether that is applicable to each of the device or no, whether the USB cable whatever you are using that is compatible to both or no, that is the must understood, that is nothing but the physical properties which is required to be understood. Second, locating the correct instance of the device. This is the must. Where are you going to transfer the data? For example, where are you going to transfer the data? The location should be correctly known of the device. The second, how the device is integrated with the rest of the system. Now, whenever not only the laptop, this laptop is integrated with number of systems, is it not? So, whether how it is integrated, whether it is integrated properly or no, that you need to look after. Next we are going to see that how to handle any error that can occur during the input output operations. So if any error is going to occur, how are you going to identify that error and going to remove that error into this input output operation? This must be understood for the system developer. Next we are going to see is from the perspective of the RTOS. Now from this perspective of the RTOS is nothing but whenever we are going to operate on the real-time operating system, we should know the things according to the RTOS, that locate the right device for the input output request. First thing, according to the real time, whenever you are going to operate on the real time, we need to know that the things whatever you are going to request, it should be properly located. Second, we are going to see that the right device driver is used for the location purpose. Second thing, the request to the device driver should be issued so that the proper transfer is done. Fourth, we are going to see that the synchronization is properly done to access the device. And the last is to facilitate an abstraction that hide both the devices characteristics and specifies the application developer. So from the perspective of RTOS, all these three things or four things whatever we have seen is the most important, so that there is a communication between the input and output device. Now we are going to see from the perspective of an application developer. Now this system developer, application developer, the RTOS, these are the things we should know compulsory, then and then only we are going to successfully transfer some input output connection or for the communicating between the input and output devices. So this we are going to see that the goal is to find a simple, uniform and the elegant way to communicate with all the types of devices present in the system. What is the application developer role? How it is going to look for the embedded system application. It is first thing it is going to keep in the mind that it should be simple, okay, it should be uniformly transferred, it should be elegant way to communicate from the input and output devices. This is the first thing. Second thing, it is going to look for that the application developer is most concerned with presenting the data to the end user, which is a useful way. Obviously, whenever we are going to operate whenever we are going to work on an application layer, that is the thing that we should understand which is useful for the end user. And thus, regarding all these things, this whatever we are going to study, this chapter whatever we are going to study, it is basically focuses on the basic hardware input output concepts. Then it is going to see that the structure, how the structure is for the input output subsystem. Then we are going to look for the specific implications for the input and output subsystems. So let us see in detail about the basic input output concepts. So the combination of input and output devices, the combination of device drivers and the input output subsystem comprises of the overall input systems in the embedded environment. along with the application, there are number of multitasking applications which is required for the communication of input and outputs, is it not? So the main purpose of the input output subsystem is that to hide the device specific information from the kernel as well as from the application developer, right? The kernel, now kernel is nothing but the OS, that is the operating system. So we need to hide the device information first thing. Second thing, the input output subsystem, what it is going to do, to provide the uniform access method to the peripherals input output devices of the system. Now here you can see the sub layer input output subsystem and the layered model. Now here you can see this is the generic flow from the top layer to the bottom layer. Okay, so the application first layer comes the application software layer, then the input output subsystem layer, then the device drivers. Now the device driver is that applicable with all the input outputs. Now suppose when handling all these things, the interrupts are going to occur and we are going to work on it. So there is the interrupt handler possibilities, and then finally the input output device hardware. So according to the application software, then finally comes the device hardware which is compatible with the application. Next we are going to look for the port mapped versus the memory mapped input output and DMA. Now what is DMA? DMA is nothing but the direct memory access. Now whenever we are going to look for the communication means, there is the communication means we are going to give instructions from sensor, for example from sensor to the LCD. So this instruction should have some memories to initialize, so that the sensor is going to give the information to the LCD. Okay, so all the input output devices must be initialized basically through the device control registers. So first thing, whatever the application you are using at the input and the output, it should be initialized through the control registers. Secondly, which is located, now where this control register is located, it is located on the CPU board or it may be located in the devices themselves. So first thing, it is importantly should understand the initialization purpose. Second, during the operation, once it is initialized, during the operation, the device registers are accessed again and the program to process data transfer request. Obviously, once it is initialized means the work of the sensor, as I am talking for an example about the sensor is going to pass the information to the LCD to display what kind of sensor. Suppose temperature sensor, you need to show the temperature on the LCD. So first the temperature or the sensor has to initialize. After initializing, the device drivers has to access that, and it is need to program whatever the program it is there in for that sensor. It has to be programmed and to process the data transfer continuously. That request has to be given by the device drivers. So to access these devices, it is necessary for the developer to determine if the device is port mapped or memory mapped. Okay, so whatever, now whenever you are going to access that data or whenever you are going to access these device drivers, it is important to know whether this device drivers is accessed to the port mapped or memory mapped. There are two different cases, port mapping and memory mapping. So it is most important to know these things. Suppose we are going to see the port mapped input output. Okay, so here you can see this is the input output address space and here it is the system address space. So this address space totally it is applicable for the application use, and here whatever it is like for example the input output address space, now you are going to take it from 0 to FFFH. Okay, so these LCD and the serial line, these are given as the input output devices. Okay, so this is the input output address space and the system address space is totally blank, and the only space used is for the 00H to FFH. The upper part which is the blank, that is the used for application purpose. So the input output device address space is separate from the system memory address. For this system address, this input output data memory is different, but it is not the same case over here. It is together in this input output address. So from the system memory address space, special purpose instructions such as in and out instructions are offered. So whenever you need to access the input address or the output address, you need to give the instruction like as in and out. So this is how the port mapping is done. Second, we are going to look for the memory mapped input output. This was the port map Now this is the memory map. So the device address is the part of the system memory address space. So the device space, memory space is the part of the system. So you can access any memory instruction so that it can give instruction to both. So that this is the application use only for applicable for the application purpose, and this is used for the LCD display or the serial line, which is reserved for some particular application. This is memory mapped. Now next we are going to see is the DMA input output. Now this DMA input output is nothing but called as direct memory access. As I told you, DMA is nothing but direct memory access chip, or it is nothing but called as a controller who is going to allow the device to access the memory directly without involving any processors. Now what we are going to do, basically whenever we want to access some memory, we are going to allow some processor to come into picture so that the memory is accessed. But this is not in the case of DMA. With the help of DMA, directly the memory can be accessed anywhere without the help of the processor. So this is the bus, this is the main memory, this is the input output device which is interfaced through this bus, and this is the CPU, and this is the DMA controller. So this DMA controller can access the memory directly with the help of main memory or from the input output device. There is no any need for the processor in it. Second we are going to see is the character mode versus the block mode device. Now the character mode or the block mode devices, let us see first about the character mode devices. Now this character mode devices is used for the unstructured data transfer. Now what do you mean by structured data transfer? Structured data transfer is nothing where some predefined structures are already provided for that data transfer purpose, for memory or for non-memory things. But for the unstructured data, there is no any predefined data given for it. There is no any predefined procedure so that the data can be accessed from this memory, that memory, or the data has to be transferred, or it need to follow some procedure and all. Such case is not allowed in this character mode. Second, this data can be typically taken from the serial fashion. Serial fashion means as it is not predefined, it can be taken serially one by one, one byte at one time the data can be done and it can be transferred. Second thing, these are the simpling devices where the serial interface or the keypads can be utilized. Third, the device driver buffers the access the data in the case where the transfer rate from the system to the device is faster than the device can handle. So this device buffer in this character mode, basically it is going to transfer very fast devices where it can handle any case of the data. Now what is block mode? Now this block mode is going to transfer data one block at a time. That is nothing but 1024 bytes per data transfer is possible. But what was the case in the character mode? As the name implies, character means only one bit can be, one byte can be taken at the same time and serially the data is transferred. In this block mode, the underlying hardware imposes the block size. Now depending upon the bytes, the size of the hardware is imposed. And the third one is some structure must be imposed on the data or the transfer protocol is enforced. Now for this block mode, there is some predefined data so that one time one block can access the data and transfer to the input output devices. Second, we are going to look for the input output subsystem. So each input output device driver can provide the driver specific set of the input output application programming which interfaces the applications. So whenever you need to interface some application, there is some particular input output application programmer who is going to drive that particular set. Okay. However, such application must be aware that it is the underlying for the nature of input output device. So the embedded system often includes the input output device to reduce the implication dependence. So the input output subsystem defines a standard set so that it can follow the proper procedure for the input and output operations. Why? Because to hide the device peculiarities from the applications. So this is the main important from the application programmer point of view. So all the input output device drivers confirm to support this function sets. So to provide the uniform input output application across the wide spectrum of the input output devices, the varying the types, it is important. So here you can see what are the input output functions. First function is to create. Now what this create is going to do, this creates the virtual instance from the input output device. Second, it is going to destroy, that is nothing but it is going to delete the virtual instance of an input output device. Second, it has the function to open, that to prepare an input output device for the use. Second, it has the function to close, that to communicate the device that receives that services are no longer required. Then typically it is going to initiate the device driver to clean up the operation. When once it is closed means it is going to clean up the memory. Then it has the function to read the data from the input output devices. It has the function to write the data from the input output devices. And finally it has the location, that is going to issues the control commands to input output devices, that is IO input output control. Here you can see the input output function mapping. This is the application. Suppose this is one application where you need to apply. For this application, the input output system and the device driver, all the function has to done. What it has to, first it has to create, then it has to open, then it has to read, then write, close, input output control and destroy. Finally it is going create means what it is going to do, it is going to create the input output instance of time. Then it is going to open the space for the user. Then once it is open, we are going to read the sentences what it is given. Then again you can write it, and once it is written you can close, so that all the communication purpose is finished. Then finally you can close the data and clear all the memory, and finally you can control the input output device, and then you can destroy. Destroy means you can delete all the instance of programming whatever you have written. So similarly here also it is given like device driver, that is create, open, read, write, close, locate and destroy. Finally the device driver is also going to operate the same way, and then finally it is going to operate for the device. Here you can see for the programming, that is the assembly language programming, this type of structure can be written. First int create, int open, int read, int write, close, locate, destroy, and then uniform to the input output device driver. Then you can see mapping of the driver functions. As we have seen, for the driving function this particular API is written. Input output driver create, open, read, write, close, input output control and destroy. So we are going to see the next, that is the driver table. Now how the driver is going to accept device driver, how it is going to do, we are going to see in detail. The input output subsystem usually maintains the uniform of the input output driver table. So the associate the uniform input output calls with the driver specific routines, input output routines. So a new driver can be installed or removed from this driver table. So let us see what the table is. See, when the we are going to devise the driver, when that means we are going to access the drivers. So how it is going to write? It is going to create. There is a separate column for create, destroy, open, close, read, write and input output control. So whenever you are going to create means tty create, int tty create, and whenever you are going to open it means int fei open. So these are the functions where you are going to use for the access of the device driver table. So this create, that is the create function, is used to create the virtual instance of the device, as we have seen. So while creating this virtual instance of the device, this input output subsystem tracks the virtual instances from the device table, and once the device table is accessible, then it is going to entry the table hold, that is the generic information where the instance specific information is given. So all these things is given in it. Next is the generic part can include the unique name of the device instance and the reference names for the device driver. While accessing that particular thing from the driver, you can give some generic name for the unique name to, or for the reference purpose. So the device instant name is constructed using the generic device name and the instant number. For example, suppose the device named is TTY0 implies that, now this TTY0, what it implies? It implies that the input output device is a serial terminal device. TTY is the serial terminal device and the first instance created in the systems. Second, the driver independent part is block of a memory. So what it is going to do, it is going to hold the some instance specific data. Then the whole data, the content of this information is independent on the driver implementations. And the third is the driver is not only entity that access the interrupts in this data. So this device driver is the reference for the newly created device entry is returned to the caller to create the function. Again the same entry is going to be done whenever you are going to call some new entry. Once it is serial communicated, you need to enter some new device drivers. So similarly, this call is subsequently call, open, destroy functions are used in this reference continuously. So here you can see how it has been how the device drive tables are done. So this is the, as we have done already. Now what these are the things. Now this is the TTY0, which is going to be serial terminal device. The reference to the driver is given. Then instance specific data maintained by the driver. So this device is going to take for this TTY. Okay, so once this device is taken, now the FEY0, the reference 0 intensity, now this is given to locate the control over this device driver. And finally at the third block, what you are going to do, this reference device is going to given. So this is how particularly one after one the block is going to work.